In this video, I will show you how you can sew Shopper Elsa with a pattern. Have fun! Shopper Elsa is a great companion not only for shopping. The design is kept very simple and classic. You can sew the bag for yourself and of course also give it away wonderfully, because everyone can use such a bag. The inside of the bag is cleverly equipped. It offers everything you could want in a bag. It has an internal and thus hidden main closure, with which the bag can be completely closed, something that you only find with very few patterns. Then it has another small zipped pocket for keys, mobile, etc., as well as two compartment pockets for everything else that you would like to have close at hand and otherwise get lost in your pocket. The bag has many customization options. You could make the straps out of webbing or leather, and the length of the straps can of course be adjusted to suit your needs. You can leave out the bottom part for an even simpler look, and if you want to go really fast, you simply sew the bag without extra inner pockets and zippers. I'm curious how you will implement your bag. The only thing I know for sure, it won't stay with only one make of Elsa. Now, I wish you a lot of fun sewing. Once you've printed out the pattern, have glued it together and cut it out, you're good to go. The seam allowances are included in all parts. The following parts are cut with the main part. Cut the bottom part on the fold once. Since the bottom part is sewn on top, it is optional but of course gives the bag additional stability. You can fold the pattern at the drawn line and then cut around it. You do the same with the lining. Fold over the drawn line, place the pattern on your folded fabric and cut the lining once on the fold. Then you cut the main part once on the fold as well. For this you use the pattern in its entire size. I have reinforced my outer fabric with interfacing so that the bag gets good strength. If you want to do the bag like I did, cut out the following parts. Depending on the design, for example, from your outer fabric. 1 time the zipper end, 4 times the zipper facing, 1 time the inside pocket on the fold, 1 time the zipper pocket on the fold. You can cut the slit in the paper, but not out of the fabric yet. And then 2 times the carrier. You also need 2 zippers, one with 20 centimeters and one with 40 centimeters length. First, we sew the straps. The pattern is designed in such a way that the straps do not have to be reinforced but still become very stable through several layers. For this, the carrier needs to be well pre-ironed. Fold the straps left on left lengthways, so that the beautiful side is on the outside and iron the resulting crease in place. Unfold the fabric again and now place one of the open edges on the crease and iron the outer edge. You do the same with the second open edge. Now you can fold the carrier in the middle and iron it in place. Repeat the same with the second carrier. Sew the open side close to the edge. I prefer to sew straps with a slightly longer stitch length of, for example, 3.5, and I not only sew up the open edge, but also sew around it once. But I only do that because I like it optically, so it's not a must. The carriers are ready. Now we edge the end of the long zipper with fabric. To do this, fold the 2 short sides of the fabric inwards by 1 centimeter, on the wrong side of the fabric. And iron these 2 creases in place. Fold the fabric in the middle, as shown here, and sew the 2 sides 1 centimeter to the edge. Cut the seam allowance just below and turn the part right side up. Shape the corners and iron the piece into shape. Now you can slide the end of the zipper into the open side and sew it on the edge with a tight seam. This is what it should look like. If you're using an endless zipper and haven't shortened it yet, you can now cut it to 40 centimeters. To prepare the zip facing, fold one of the short ends 1 centimeter inwards, to the wrong side of the fabric, and iron the crease in place. With all 4 parts. Lay out the 4 parts as shown here. The folded ends are on the same side as the bordered end of the zipper. Now we enclose the zipper. To do this, put one facing that should later be inside the bag with the right side of the fabric up, then the zipper comes with the right side up, in such a way that the two open edges are on top of each other. And then comes the facing that should later be seen above with the right side pointing down. Pin this section well. Now you sew this seam with a zipper presser foot a little less than a centimeter from the edge. Start at the top of the zipper end and then sew up to a centimeter from the end of the fabric. It is very important that you open the zipper a few centimeters. When you have reached the last centimeter, you turn the part and sew the short side with 1 centimeter to the edge. Only one side of the zipper lies between the two fabrics. Cut the seam allowance on the corner and the short side close to the seam. Turn the fabrics inside out and iron them into place or put them together first so that they do not interfere with the next steps. Now process the second side of the interface. Place the fabric that should be visible on the inside with the beautiful side up, the zipper with the right side up and the outer fabric with the beautiful side down. The open short edges are flush with each other. Sew this section in the same way as you did on the first side. Sew up to a centimeter before the end, and then with the short piece, sew only half of the zipper again. Then cut down the seam allowance, turn the piece over and iron it out. This is what the part should look like now. If you like, you can put a seam next to the zipper and sew the short ends. That's optional, I didn't do that here, for example. To make the inner pocket, fold the fabric right sides together. Sew the 3 open edges 1 centimeter to the edge. Leave a turning opening of 4 to 5 centimeters in the middle. Cut down the seam allowance in the corners and turn the part right side out. Shape the corners and iron the piece into shape. You can iron the opening so that it is no longer noticeable. The position of the inner pocket is shown in the pattern. To do this, cut into the small corners on the line drawn under the lining line with a small pair of scissors. Now you can use the pattern piece as a template. To do this, lay the pattern on the lining part, flush at the bottom. The outer corners are intended for the inner pocket, which you can now draw in. Place the prepared pocket in these corners. Put the side with the turning opening downwards, this closes it with the next seam. As you can see, I have marked the middle here with tailoring chalk, because I would like to have 2 compartments of the same size. You could of course divide it up differently. Sew the bag on close to the edge and then sew the division in a second step, if you want to have 2 compartments. Inner pocket number 1 is ready. For the inside pocket with zipper, I have already made the markings on the other side of the inner lining. The corners on the inside apply to this pocket. Take the part for the zippered pocket, unfold it and mark the slit on the wrong side of the fabric. Put the part in the unfolded state, right sides together, onto the inner fabric. The corners are in the markings. Now sew exactly this slot all around with the sewing machine. Use a ruler to draw a line exactly in the middle of the slot and a kind of small triangle at the end of the slot like this. Cut the line in the middle and cut as far as possible at the corners without damaging the seam. Take the zipper pocket fabric and pull it all the way through the slit to the other side. Iron the fabric well around the seam so that the slit looks as neat as possible from both sides. Your inner fabric is now facing up. Place your zipper behind the slit from below. Secure the zipper in place with some wonder tape or pins. Use a zipper foot to sew the slit all around once from the outside and use it to attach the zipper. This is what this seam looks like from behind. My zipper was a little too long, so I shorten it to the width of the inside pocket. Fold up the zippered pocket so that the upper, open fabric edges are exactly on top of each other and pin the pocket tightly. In the last step, the inner pocket is sewn together. It is important that you only sew the edges of the inner pocket together and that you don't accidentally sew the inner fabric. This works best if you lay the bag down so that the inner fabric is on top, then you can always move it out of the way while you are sewing. This seam can also be sewn very well with the zipper foot, as you don't have that much space on the upper edge. Otherwise, this seam is sewn normally with a centimeter to the edge. The extra inner pockets are ready, now the inner fabric can be sewn together. To do this, lay it right sides together and sew the two sides 1 centimeter to the edge. Leave a large turning opening on one of the two sides, which can be up to 20 centimeters wide, then it will not be so difficult when turning later. After sewing, you should iron the seam allowances flat. I've already done this here. To get the depth into the pocket, the lower corners are sewn next. To do this, lay the bag on its side and pull the corners apart so that the two open edges are exactly on top of each other. Sew the open edges a centimeter to the edge. It is important that you sew exactly from the beginning of the fabric to the end of the fabric. And then the corners should look like this. The bottom part is sewn on for additional stability. Unfold the part and draw a line at 4 centimeters on the wrong side of the fabric on the upper edges. Now you can put the edge exactly up to the line and clamp it. The upper edge is placed inwards by 2 centimeters. If you also use a material such as synthetic leather, it is best to do a test beforehand on a small sample of the material to see how it reacts to clamps or pins, so that there are no visible traces from pinning. Lay the bottom part on top of your main part with both beautiful sides facing up. And pin it on the side. I also attached wonder tape at the point where I sew the bottom part so that the fabric doesn't slip while sewing. Sew the bottom part close to the edge with a matching thread color. Let's get to the straps and the main clasp. To do this, take the main part pattern again and place it on the right side of the fabric of your outer part. Transfer the two small lines on top of both sides of the outer part. The carrier is now placed on the inside of the middle lines and pinned. Sew the straps tightly, as shown here. This will make the next steps easier. Repeat for the second carrier. Now take the main fastener and place it between the other two markings, right sides together. Pin the part and sew it close to the edge. Maybe not as tightly edged as I am, the main thing is that you stay under a centimeter in any case. Now turn the main part so that the still open side with the other strap is at the bottom and put the main fastener back into the marking there. Pin the piece in place and sew it on tightly. The main part can now also be closed. To do this, sew the sides together with a centimeter to the edge, iron the seam apart where it goes. Of course, do not iron on synthetic leather. Then pull the corners apart at the bottom and sew the depth into the ground. In principle, just like with the inner part, only without a turning opening. Cut the seam allowance on the narrow sides at the bottom to about half. The two main parts can be connected. Turn your inner part on the right side and slide it into the outer part. So, on the inside, the two beautiful sides look at each other. Place the side seams on top of each other and then pin the open edge all around. Sew the two pieces a centimeter to the edge. I'm doing this from the inside. Turn the entire bag inside out by reaching inside through the opening and turning everything inside out. Then close the opening close to the edge with a matching thread color. Turn the inner pocket inside and 4 centimeters from the outer fabric. Crease all around 4 centimeters from the outer fabric inwards, measure it well and clamp it firmly at the top of the crease edge. Then it's best to also pin the straps on the edge so that they look straight out of the pocket later. The last seam is now sewn all around, close to the edge, from the outside. With it you sew the crease and the carriers tight, and the inside fastener is brought into the right place. The straps are therefore pretty securely attached with a total of 3 seams. And then the bag is ready. From the outside, a super simple and elegant basic piece, if not the most important piece of a hand-sewn bag collection, and from the inside really everything your heart desires. A secure, hidden main closure. 2 extra compartments and another zipper pocket. I hope you enjoyed this sewing project. If you show this bag on Instagram, don't forget to tag me with DIY mode patterns, then I can look at your work and share it with our community. Thank you for watching and see you for my next video. Until then, I wish you all the best.